What's going on, my party people? We are back. We're back in action. It's your host with the most, Prowler 71, here with my buddy, my pal, mi amigo, Ace, my man. Ace, how we doing today?
What's up, buddy? Doing well. Doing well. Happy to be back here in the seat for Rings and Things to chat some gaming and pop culture stuff. How have you been, man?
Not bad. Just, getting my butt kicked by reality and all that fun stuff with work and
Mm,
everything else going on. And, the summer ending, which for me personally, I love it. Goodbye, terrible, gross weather and everything like
mm.
that. And give me the cold weather. Let me sit inside and give me some validation to sit there for like 10 hours and play video games because now I
Oh
can't
yeah.
hear my wife be like, it's beautiful outside. You need to come outside and enjoy this weather. And I'm like, I can only bring my handheld Switch so many places until
Mm,
I'm like, no, I don't want to do that. I want to sit inside and I want to play games and be left alone.
yeah. You know what I don't do when I'm sitting inside playing games where it's nice and comfortable? I don't sweat my rear end off. I don't
That's
do
right.
that. I'm
That's
very comfortable inside. So, as a wise person once said, it's getting to be sweater weather.
I love it. I love it.
I love it. Like we have a big deck on the outside of our house, and we have like one of those propane fire pits. So I'm looking forward to these evenings where we can just go out there and not get bit by mosquitoes once it gets cold enough, and just sit on the deck and have that fire going. It's going to be pristine. Football is back. Hockey's right around the corner. It's the best time of the year. Best time of the year, bar none. Although miss me with the pumpkin spice shit. Get out of here with that.
Oh yeah. No, I'm not a pumpkin spice anything. I'm not pumpkin bleh. But for me, yeah, fall, I will fight anybody that says fall isn't the best season out of the four of them. Trust me, that is just right up my wazoo. Like I said, like you touched on football's back. That's the big thing that I've been
Mhm.
all about. Like I said, ironically though, it's funny because football's back on actual football, but I haven't touched what is it? College football, that video game, since we
Wow.
last talked about it, because it's just like I got the Heisman, I won the national championship in the game, and I was like, you know what? Wash my hands of this thing. I'm all
Yeah.
set. And then did not pull the trigger on Madden. I contemplated it for a second, but I was like, you know what? I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. However, there are some games that I've been playing lately that I
Mm,
want to discuss with you.
okay.
And the first one that really I people who know me well enough kind of know already at this point that I'm kind of sort of a big Sonic the Hedgehog fan.
Really?
So believe it or not, crazy, isn't it?
Wow.
Crazy. You would never guess it with my figurine behind me and everything else that I talk Sonic, but
I'm pretty
it
sure
was
when you hang out with Mrs. Prowler, you like dress up as Sonic
I mean,
in the intimate
definitely
times.
definitely a chunkier version to Sonic, like definitely not the fast version, I can tell you that, but I mean, I do my best, so
Instead of Sonic, you're just Sonk.
Chunky Sonic, I like it.
Uh,
No. There's a game that I think it came out last year. It was Sonic Superstars, where they got back
okay.
to the TD 2D version
TD
of
Garden.
Sonic. TD. See, I got hockey on the mind. I'm thinking of you already. That's as soon as I saw you, I was like, oh, Ace wants to talk hockey, and we're gonna get to that. But no, it's yeah, Sonic Superstars. It was the latest game from Sonic Team and Sega that they came out with, where they went back to the 2D, or kind of, not, I don't want to say origins, but like very similar gameplay style to the original Genesis type Sonic
Okay.
games. Um, and I kind of have mixed feelings on it. I ended up beating the game. There was they did like a whole co-op thing that was kind of like interesting. Obviously I just played through it solo, and then there was like a hard mode with a new character that was not bad, but at the same time, like, there was just a lot of
Yeah.
gimmicky things in it that kind of felt like, I don't know. I don't want to say I didn't enjoy my experience. Like, I liked the game in and of itself. I had a lot of nitpicking about it, where it didn't feel like the original games. It didn't have that same charm where I was drawn immediately back to it. It was one of those games that I beat it, I 100%ed it, and I deleted it, and I don't plan on playing it again probably for another like 10 years, to be like, do I even remember this game? No, let's screw it. Let's throw it in there and play it and see what happens. But that's a big game that I've been playing lately. I had been playing, but some other games I've just been dabbling back into is Hogwarts Legacy. I played it before, never beat the game, and I'm having a lot of fun just
Mm.
going around and messing people up with the wizard spells you can do. What is it? Not Leviosa and all that, and Accio.
Havana Kedavra!
I haven't gotten that far yet. I'm excited
Okay,
to try
so
that out. I heard you can have some fun with that, so it's okay.
oh
I
boy,
know
here
you
I
can
go
do it.
killing again.
But no, Hogwarts Legacy, everybody knows at this point it's a tremendous game. I'm excited to keep playing through that. And then one game that I poked my head into that I tested it out because I have the PlayStation Plus feature where they can give you a bunch of free games and stuff is Marvel Midnight Suns. I tried that one out and I was very hesitant to try it out because it's a turn-based card type of game. And I know it's not like a traditional action type game. It's very, like I said, strategic and it was a different concept from what I thought it was, especially way back when they announced what the game was and what it was going to be, and the fact that Blade was going to be in it, and you could play as Spider-Man and Iron Man and Doctor Strange and all these different characters. I was like, hell yeah, sign me up. Um, it's not, again, I don't want to sound like I'm nitpicking to a fault. It's not a bad game. It's just not my type of game, if that makes sense. Like I always go back to the strategy games, or like I have buddies that love what is it, Civilization. Like they play that till the cows come home. That is their bread and butter. They could play that
Yeah.
game nonstop. For me, I look at Civilization and I go, I'd rather go watch paint dry. That's just my preference, and it is no fault. I'm not saying it's a bad game. It's not like you can't play it. It's just not my cup of tea. So, like I said, there's just a couple games I've been playing lately. Ace, I think you got a big game that recently came out that we want to talk about, and I think it has
Mm.
something to do with maybe one of your favorite movie franchises out there.
Well, perhaps. Yeah. I think
Perhaps.
maybe you're talking about Star Wars Outlaws.
Oh, am I?
Yeah, I think
I
so.
think I am.
The
I think I
first
am.
ever open world Star Wars game, as Ubisoft would be very happy to inform you.
Of
Um,
course.
so I will say that I have logged probably about 15 to 20 hours in this game, and I am thoroughly enjoying it. And it's gotten some, middling reviews. Like I think it's got like a 70 something Metascore from a lot of like the major reviewers. Um, some of the complaints that I'm seeing are like the protagonist is just not very charismatic or blah 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 blah. It's a female. God forbid we have a female protagonist in this day and age. It's just it's ridiculous. But I will say that the game is really compelling. The world building is fantastic. Being able to walk around a city and honestly feel like you're in Star Wars, like you have random alien races walking around you, and you can just casually hear their conversations and overhear like a new objective that you can go do that's not part of like the mainline story, which is really cool. Um, the built-in gambling game that they have, because I don't know if you know, but Star Wars Outlaws, you're playing the role of a scoundrel. So
Mhm.
think of like Han Solo.
Yep.
You're not a Jedi, you're not a bounty hunter, you're just somebody out there. The only allegiance that they have is to themselves and putting some credits in their pocket. So you pick your own path of who you're going to pocket, your allies, who your allies are going to be aligned to. Are they going to be the Huts? Are they going to be the Pikes? Are they going to be the Crimson Dawn? Which are the first three major factions you interact with, and you kind of play them against each other to line your own pockets. And you go out and you play like I was alluding to earlier, the gambling game. It's called Sabak, and you sit down at a table. It's like you're playing poker, and it's the game within the game to make money. And honestly, I sat down and I played Sabak for like 3 hours, and I'm like, oh shit, like I'm still stuck at like the first like portion of the game's story. So really enjoyed it. They combined it with some pretty fun and simplistic ship combat and everything like
Mhm.
that too. So like you're even able to go out in a spaceship and shoot down TIE fighters and stuff like that, which is also really cool. So I'm really enjoying that. My only gripe about the game is that I took advantage of Xbox's quick save feature, and I was going from my console downstairs to my console upstairs and continuing my save. And I think at one point I didn't like shut down my console properly. So I had like 7 hours of gameplay logged, and then it didn't save. And I went
Oh,
upstairs to my other
no.
console, and it had me all the way back to where I was before, and I lost all of that progress. And it overwrote both console saves when I went on the other console. So I lost all that time, dude. I was so salty.
So that's fun. That's funny that you bring that up, is like the whole debacle when it comes to memory cards or save files or anything like that. It's funny because my brother-in-law recently had his birthday, and we went down and we were celebrating it, and we were talking about old funny memories and stuff. And there was a picture of my wife with my brother-in-law when they were both younger, and she brought up a story about how she used to sneak into his room and play PlayStation or N64, like the original ones back in the day. And it was like he would always know that she was doing it because like she would go in there and play like Tomb Raider or something, and she'd overwrite his save file, and he'd been like just about to beat the game, and she's like on the first level, and he's like, "What the F did you do?" Like ready to like strangle her. And I'm just sitting there like she's dying laughing while he's telling the story. And I'm just sitting there like the gamer in me is like, oh, you should have strangled her. I would have fully been on board with that. Like that is a no, absolutely. But no, I that's that Star Wars Outlaws seems like it's a very divisive game, I should say, where like you were talking about the reviews, and I've been keeping an eye on it, and I saw a lot of the people picking it apart before it first came out and everything. But I guess my questions for you in regards to the game are, well, first and foremost, when does it take place in the Star Wars universe? Have you gotten any inkling to that? Is it
So it
before
takes
anything
place
or?
during the original trilogy. So I think it's between um Return of the Jedi and The Empire Strikes Back. So between those two films.
Okay.
So the rebellion is really starting to get the Empire's attention. So the Empire has released some of their focus on criminal gangs and syndicates, and it's allowed those to really flourish while the Empire focuses on trying to squash the rebellion.
Gotcha. Okay, because my follow up question to that was going to be, have you found anything in the game, minus this 7 hours you got deleted on you, where they have kind of put in something from the movie universe or anything in that regards, to like a cameo or something to try and like kind of grab your attention? Because like a spoiler alert for anybody out there who has not played the game, uh was Jedi, not Jedi Outcast, not Jedi Survivor. What was the one? Well, it is Jedi Survivor, right? The first one, not the one that just came out. You know what I'm talking about, with Cal Kestis or whatever.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh,
Jedi Survivor, or yeah,
okay.
yeah, I forget what it is called, but
I Yeah, that
the
first one,
Jedi
not
series from EA.
exactly. Not the most recent one, but the one before at the
Yeah.
very end when you beat the Inquisitor, I believe it is
Mhm.
called. Um, lo and behold, Darth Vader makes a spectacular entrance.
Badass,
It, it's
badass.
it's awesome. It's awesome, but it's definitely, and I don't want to. I'm trying to be. I'm trying to play devil's advocate here. Part of me loves the fact that games and movies kind of build into that stuff where they put in either something nostalgic or somebody that gets you hyped, or like, okay, cool. Like the fact that they threw in like an Easter egg or a cameo kind of thing. But I guess another part of me too is I'd love to see where, like you said, that the Star Wars Outlaws focuses on a scoundrel, a Han Solo type, without actually being Han Solo.
Mhm,
Give that character and their story everything brand new.
mhm.
Everything brand new. Like, don't have any recurring characters. Don't have anybody that's going to be like, oh, there's a cameo for that, or there's this, or whatever. Have it in the same universe, but like make it your own thing. Because that's one thing that I'd love to see going forward, especially with like big franchises where,
Yeah,
and I think, and then this goes, I'm going to go on a little bit of a rant here. I apologize for everybody, but I just want to say this. It goes to like movies and everything else too, like the MCU. Like, as much as I loved the latest Deadpool movie, Deadpool and Wolverine, it was just cameo city. Like, and I'm not complaining. I enjoyed it. It was great, but at the same time, they had a really, really good movie there. um, but it's just like one of those things now where if they have Deadpool going forward, I feel like I would almost be exhausted if they just kept doing the cameos and the whole, okay, let's bring in people that are going to get people excited. Like, get back to the storytelling, get back to the
right.
creativity of like, bring me characters that I've never seen before or don't know anything about. Like,
Yeah.
build a world, you know? So
Yeah, I feel like if they're gonna do the cameo thing, they have to make it organic. They can't have it feel forced. Like, oh, we're in a lull
Exactly.
spot. Here's a character that you recognize. Oh, look, it's Luke Skywalker. Wow! Like that's not how it works. Like, and I thought that the game that you were alluding to, Jedi Survivor, did a really good job with like you're obviously being brought for a strategic reason to the setting where Darth Vader would logically be. So it was definitely within the feasibility. It wasn't like he just randomly crashed his TIE fighter on a planet
Yes.
that you were there.
Yeah.
So like I 100% agree. They gotta like create your own story, create your own path. Don't rely on fan service in order to generate goodwill, especially because fans in general in Star Wars are just a shitty right now. It's just an awful, awful fan base.
It's toxic. Yeah.
Terrible. It's so bad. I'm arguing with Star Wars fans all the time, and I am the biggest fuck. I have a giant Darth Vader tattoo on my friggin' thigh. I've got Boba Fett on my other leg tattooed. Like I am a Star Wars guy, and I'm arguing with all these friggin' neckbeards about the Star Wars franchise. It's the worst, dude. When I'm like being told I'm woke and stuff, and I was like, well, maybe if I have 2 fucking daughters, I am woke. Like maybe that just means I know more than you. Like figure your shit out. Get your head out of your ass. But long-winded way of answering your question. I personally have not run into any cameos. I have heard that there are some, and they do an okay job with them. Not
Okay.
bad, not amazing. I heard there's like 2 or 3. One of them plays a larger role than others. So I'm not going to spoil it for those that haven't played, but keep an eye out for that if you're playing through Outlaws. But you're going to enjoy the story of the game, which is really the most important thing with a single player adventure that is Star Wars Outlaws.
Nice. Hell yeah. Like I said, it's just one of those things. Actually, it kind of jogged my memory that we haven't talked about it in a minute, though, that the whole toxic Star Wars thing. Did you hear the news that they canceled the Acolyte going
Oh my
forward?
God. Yeah, that was kind of what I was alluding to. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I was talking about the Acolyte. I really enjoyed the Acolyte. It had some rough episodes in the middle of the season as they were trying to build the story. They had some tropes that probably are just not well received in general. The whole twins impersonating each other shtick that just needs to go away. And all the Star Wars fans just turned against that show like after episode 2. And I won't say all the Star Wars fans, the vast majority of the yeah, I've been a Star Wars fan since I was in 4th grade, and Luke Skywalker would never have done that. And it's the worst, dude. And all that bitter toxicity and hatred that was just funneled toward that show. It all started when they showed like the 2 little girls, the main characters, Asha and May, being from a coven, a space coven that used dark side magic to create them. No males, no men were involved. Oh, so they're lesbian space witches. So we're having lesbian space witches introduced into the Star Wars universe. Dude, it's a fucking giant galaxy. Why can't there be lesbian space witches? Like,
What is it? Yeah.
Luke Skywalker lived on a desert planet and they literally farmed water. That's fucking stupid too. Like, seriously.
And he drank blue milk.
Yeah. Like,
I mean,
Star Wars has always been eccentric and dumb.
Exactly.
Like, who cares if it doesn't fit your political ideals? It's still stupid and dumb. Just step into the universe and let it happen and enjoy it. Like, that's what it's all about. Is just trying to step out of your mundane day-to-day life. And if you have time to complain about that shit online, I guarantee you that you have a dumb, mundane, boring life. Like, just enjoy it, dude. So I'm gonna step off my soapbox now.
I enjoyed it. That was it was funny for all you listeners out there. Before we actually started hitting the record button, I was complaining to Ace about a bunch of crap going on. I was like, all right, I need to get all peppy and ready to go because we're recording Rings and Things. I need to be excited. I need to get going. I need to bring the energy. And it's just like I think I transferred all my
I'm going back to it now. I'm not done. So they finally get to the good part of that show at the end of it. Started off decent. Middle was bad. I acknowledge that. Middle was bad. But they really brought it together at the end. And they introduced a character that I have been clamoring to see in live action for years in the very end. And now that it's been fucking canceled, I don't care about spoilers. They showed Darth Plagueis at the end. the guy that trains Darth Palpatine, Darth Sidious, Darth Palpatine, listen to me, Sidious. He trained Sidious. He trained the Emperor. The guy that the Emperor was alluding to Anakin, that taught him how to
Yeah,
live
yeah.
forever. You know, the guy that was ultimately the reason for Anakin to turn to the dark side in the first place. He's only been, you know, documented and talked about in novels. And we
Mm.
finally had a doc like him in person. That was the big cliffhanger in the finale was, look, here he is. He's right here.
Oh,
And they were
man.
setting that up for season 2. And me being a big Star Wars nerd, I love the dark side lore. And they're just like, nope, too many lesbian space witches. We're not going to renew this show. Fucking pisses
That's
me off. So
that's
dumb.
that's Disney for you. They can't help but get out of their own way sometimes with like the dumb decision making that they do, whether it's either listening too much or not listening. And it's just like,
I know.
I get it 100%, where it's aggravating, especially when it comes down to things that you want to see succeed, and then they don't at the end of the day, or they do, and somebody with a stopwatch sits there and goes, well, time's up, we're not giving you another chance for this. So that actually,
Well, it
before
kind of
before
reminds me. Sorry, I know we're just
no, you're
talking about
good.
shows right now.
Yeah,
So I enjoyed House of the Dragon this year. I'm going to talk about House of the Dragon a little bit. Did you watch it yet?
I have not had a chance to sit down and
Okay.
watch it. No.
So I won't talk about any spoilers here, but
Okay.
you have George R. Martin, the author of the Song of Ice and Fire series and Fire and Blood. House of the Dragon is based on the book series Fire and Blood, which is more of like a history book of the House of Targaryen, which is one of the major houses in the Game of Thrones universe. Season 1 of House of the Dragon was pretty well received. Obviously, they made some sacrifices to consolidate some characters for, budgetary reasons and storytelling reasons, and everything seemed to be pretty well received. But much of season 1 was setting the table for what was supposed to be a rather tumultuous season 2. Going into season 2, season 1 was 10 episodes. Season 2 was supposed to be 10 episodes, but just before they were getting ready to finalize shooting, Warner Brothers announced that they were cutting costs basically across the board. And as a result of that, the House of the Dragon team were told that they had to drop their show from 10 episodes to 8 episodes. They could only have 8 episodes for season 2. So they had already storyboarded everything for a full 10 episode season. And George R. Martin has already said that he really kind of liked what was laid out for season 2 at the beginning. But with a pretty short notice, but before shooting happened, Warner Brothers informed HBO that they needed to do that. The team wasn't able to adapt and add the big fight scene, the big fight episode. Like every time that Game of Thrones has happened, like the penultimate episode of the season is always like the big episode.
Yep.
So season 2 ended on episode 8. The big fight was supposed to happen in episode 9 for the season. So they didn't have a big battle scene. There was no giant battle in the season finale. The season finale was, let's look at these 5 different armies marching toward the same area and set the table for what's going to be a crazy opening for season 3. And George R. R. Martin just recently came out on his Not a Blog. So if you're not familiar, he runs a blog where he talks about all the things he's doing. And that man is far too busy for a guy that needs to just finish one fucking book.
Agreed.
And he's coming out and saying, I have a lot of problems with what House of the Dragon is doing with my story right now. And they are making all of these sacrifices that I don't agree with. And I've tried telling them this, and they don't seem to be agreeing with me. And I'm very frustrated. And that post was up for like 2 hours before it got taken down. And HBO put out a public statement immediately after that. And they were like, I'm just paraphrasing. I'm not reading anything exactly. But they were like, while we acknowledge George's concerns and we respect his opinion as the creator of the universe that we are creating these stories in.
Shut the fuck up.
Exactly. Basically, yeah. We have complete faith in our showrunner's abilities to tell the story that needs to be told. Yeah, well, when you guys lost George's attention in Game of Thrones in season 8, we all saw how that went. And season 2 of House of the Dragon, we have some concerns. So I'm really praying that George R. Martin's shot across the bow to HBO is going to be received, because I have my concerns. And I really hope, with a universe that I love very, very much. My eldest daughter's named after this universe, right? My older daughter is named Arya, if that tells you anything. Like, it means a lot to me, and I really, really need them to get their shit together for season 3 of the House of the Dragons.
Well, for your sake and for everybody else's sake, I certainly hope they get their shit together. Um, before we were talking about House of the Dragons, I wanted to segue. It was funny, we were talking about things failing and failing hard. I kind of want to move on to a couple of gaming news topics that have been, going around pretty frequently. And the biggest one that we got to talk about is the game Concord, whatever you want to call it. That game, man, truly and honestly, I have not been the biggest follower of this game. Previously, I know it's been in development for years, and I heard there was a stupid amount of money thrown into the development process and everything like that. And only recently, I want to say it was like a couple weeks ago that it came out, and I had seen commercials for it, and they were trying to hype it up all over the place and everything. And I believe when it first dropped, the numbers that show concurrent streamers or concurrent players of the game, I think like the highest number it got to, like, post launch, was like barely over 600 players were on, or something, for something that like I said, they had put millions of dollars into it. Um, and just fast forward to a couple of days ago, Sony pulled the plug on the game. They came out and they said that they were going to be taking it offline, that people were going to be getting refunds for purchasing the game. And it's been taking the gaming world by storm, because the whole concept of the failure was just so dramatic, where it happened so fast. And it kind of brings me back to a game that came out, I want to say I think it was last year, was oh gosh, the name of it. The day the day before? Not the day before. What was that game? There was a game that was supposed to be a zombie apocalypse. It was in development hell for years, and it was supposed to be this next big thing that was coming out. And I think it literally lasted like a week, and the developer went bankrupt, and it was just like it was absolute mayhem for a short time there. And but that game I look at differently, because there was actually people that didn't know if that game was going to be real or not, because they literally showed cutscenes and gameplay from like 8 years ago, and it was like, this looks like the game of the century, this looks incredible. And then when they showed an actual like gameplay section, it looked like a completely different game. It looked terrible. It was just like, stuff started leaking out about, developers being begged to work for no money, and just like hiring random people to be like, do you want to work on this like video game we got going on, hopefully it works, kind of thing. It was a disaster. So obviously this is a very different circumstance with Concord, where you had high end people working on this, and it was just, I believe it's the whole live service thing again. And I know we've talked about this in previous episodes, where I always go back to, companies need to really understand that live service games can play a role in the industry. But at the end of the day, you cannot keep pumping these type of games out, where people are going to turn on you the way that they have recently. And Ace, to go back to a company you had just been talking about a couple minutes ago, Warner Brothers, they don't learn their lesson. I mean, it's as simple as looking at a game that I brought up with Hogwarts Legacy, and the numbers that it sold, and how well it did, and how well it was received. And then they go and put out a game like Suicide Squad, and it flops so insanely fast, and they lose millions of dollars on it. And then they double down, and they still don't care. They just were like, we want to do live service games. We want to squeeze the public and the gamers out there for every last drop of cent we can get out of them. And it's really, really unfortunate, because like I said, this goes back to past qualms I've had with the video game industry, where I remember back in the day, playing my Sega Genesis and playing Sonic the Hedgehog over and over again. And there was a reason for that, because it was a great game. It was good quality. I enjoyed it. It brought me enjoyment. I didn't have to pay for DLC. I didn't have to download the latest update that fixed all these problems. They put out a full game. They put out a game that I appreciated, that I got my money's worth out of, that I have nostalgic feelings over now, but I also I enjoyed it. Today's industry is just make me the money now. That's all they want to do. And it's unfortunate. It really is, because I think you can look at what Concord had going for it. And even though it was kind of from the videos I've seen, it looked kind of like an Overwatch kind of shooter s kind of
Yep.
thing. I just, I don't know. Ace, do you got feelings on this? Because I mean, part of me is, like I said, it's unfortunate the way that it happened, but at the same time, I think we're gonna go back and look at this in history to be like, okay, this was a big thing that happened in video games, and I hope there's lessons taken out of it, as opposed to, hey, remember how fucked up that game was, and let's all laugh about it now, ha ha ha. Yeah,
PlayStation.
well, I know that's how you feel about it.
Concord was in development for 8 years, dude. 8 years. And they lasted on a public service for like a week. And you hit the nail on the head. It's they created a hero shooter. Guess what? That market is already incredibly saturated. Like, you're not coming up with anything compelling or new. And then they did like weird like motion capture, like high-end cinematics. Like, they spent a ton of money on cinematics, and it almost looked like the version of Guardians of the Galaxy you could buy from Temu. Like, it just looked like a cheap knockoff version of Guardians of the Galaxy, and it just was ridiculous. And then on top of it all, it was a game that was fine, but all the characters were just not super compelling from what I saw. It was all like just bland, just no real character. Nobody that like jumps out at you like a Winston from Overwatch, where he's just a talking gorilla. Like, that's pretty fucking cool. I'm not gonna lie. Like, a super intelligent ape like jumping on me, like, and shooting me with lightning. That's pretty fucking cool. There's no one that really did that. It was all like, here's a morbidly obese black person that has a gun, and that's a character, and that's fine. But like, at least give me some compelling character like attributes to make this hero even worth playing. And they just didn't seem to go into that level of detail on any of their character design. And then on top of it all, they could have easily started this off with like a game as a service model, where they had like an Apex Legends type, it's free to play and you can buy cosmetics.
Yeah.
And you can buy season passes. This was locked behind a $40 purchase price. You had to pay $40 to play this game. Nobody's gonna do that today. Nobody's gonna do that today. Like, you can download Overwatch 2 for free right now and just play that shit. So I don't know. It's I think it's funny. I think it's really short-sighted of them. I don't think they did enough marketing behind the game either. There was like no hype for this game when it released.
I did, like I said, I saw commercials for it. I saw commercials like after the fact that it had already come out, and it felt like it was like a too little, too late kind of thing, where I'm like, "What is this?" And it was like, "Yeah, here's this game that just came out, and you should go play it." And I was like, "Well, like I didn't see like a bunch of like trailers leading up to it, or like in-depth gameplay or anything like that. Like, I had heard of it. It was just kind of like, oh, it's here." And then, like you said, a week later, and it's gone. It's like, what is it? It's that South Park episode. And here's your money in the bank, and it's gone. Wait. Where did it go? Where did I want it back? No.
So what we'll
It's
do is
gone.
we'll just
It's
invest
gone.
it over here into this 401k IRA, and it's gone.
What?
It's gone.
Where? Like, it's gone.
Do you have
Next,
any more
please.
money? Do you want to open another account?
That's a sad fact. That is what happened to Concord. Before we move on to our next little bit of what something else that looks like it's awful coming out. Really quickly, I know it's Ace's one of his favorite things to do is to crap on Sony, which is fair. It's fair. I do have a rebuttal for him though, because Sony, while they did fail with Concord, actually just put out a game that's kind of lighting it up right now, especially with the reviews and everything like that. And that is the new Astrobot game that just came out, where it's kind of like a throwback. It kind of encapsulate the whole nostalgic, like uh PlayStation vibe of like a kind
Platformer.
of platformer from like the original PS1 days and whatnot. And I have yet to play the game. I've seen clips of it. It looks amazing where they have your little like robo buddy turn into Kratos at one point and throw an axe around, and then he becomes Aloy from Horizon Zero Dawn. And then what was it? Oh, Nathan Drake from Uncharted. So it's like they hit the nail on the head with all the games, like the nostalgia and everything else. But uh I did play. So PS5 owners will know this: when you first boot up your system, that it comes, I want to say it comes preloaded with sort of like a tech, I don't want to say a tech demo, but it's an actual game. It's Astro's Playroom, where you go through and you collect collectibles and you see old characters and stuff, and you essentially play through the hardware of like the PS1, the PS2, the PS3, and it's like a history museum that you play through. It's a really fun, novel, kind of cool idea, and it looks like they kind of lean to that really heavily with Astrobot. And they do crazy things with the controller, where you can do like all sorts of things. Like I remember at one point I was telling Ace that you can physically blow on the controller and it turns a fan actually in the game, which is a wild concept. And I'm still waiting to see a game developer out there actually utilize that for the controller aspect. But um so yeah, you got Concord failing, but you got Astrobot rising from the ashes. It's the Phoenix right now that Sony needs to help them get through this tough
Yeah, they
time.
just had to
Clearly, so
roll the dead bird out of Nintendo's yard and then ignite it again because they can't come up with an original concept.
well, yeah. I mean, the Sony, I want to say it was either the CEO or what have you, just came out and said that Sony doesn't have enough original franchises or something like that, and he wants the team to like double down. And it's like he said that, and then they showed a picture of like Kratos from God of War, Aloy from Horizon Zero Dawn, Nathan Drake from Uncharted. Like they literally showed like 20 different like original franchises that are Sony specific. And it's just like, yeah, we don't have enough. Like get back to work. Like go. Um, I don't know. It is what it is at this point. So
So speaking about
Sony's
Warner Brothers,
we got
uh,
more breaking news.
no, not necessarily breaking news, but you mentioned you were playing Harry Potter. Um,
Oh yeah, that's
I
right. That's
yeah,
right.
so I'm gonna jump on that.
Go
I
for it.
uh I signed an NDA. I couldn't talk about this until the game released, but I played multiple playtests of the Harry Potter Quidditch Champions game, which is like the standalone Quidditch game. Though I don't know if you remember playing this when you guys were younger, but there used to be like on the original Xbox or Xbox One maybe a standalone Quidditch game, which was actually like really fun back then. And it was actually a different game on different platforms. Like the PC version was a completely different game than like the Xbox version or PlayStation version, but it was a really fun game, and it was really well received critically at the time, and it felt just like you were like playing, Madden or something, and it was just Quidditch, and it was a lot of fun. Um, but Warner Brothers, in their infinite wisdom, decided to tell the developers of Hogwarts Legacy, "Hey, don't spend too much time on that Quidditch because we're going to go ahead and create a standalone Quidditch game and have it be our own sports game." And I will say, I played the play tests, which were a ton of fun, really a lot of fun, and they had 6-on-6 modes, and they tweaked the rules of Quidditch to make it a little bit more, make sense a little bit. So like you didn't catch a snitch and all of a sudden your team was guaranteed a win. Catching a snitch is still important for the seeker. It only gives you like 30 points instead of like a full 100 and whatever as it is in the Harry Potter universe. So it's not
Huh.
like you're done if your chasers are smoking the other team and then their team catches the snitch, you still fucking lose. That's not how it works in the game. But it was 6-on-6. Each person had one designated character that they would control. So it gives you that immersion that you have like, this is me. I have one character and I have one job. And if I do my job and my teammates do their jobs, we can work together and win. And Warner Brothers, in their infinite wisdom, decided, you know what? 6v6 is too much. You don't want to rely on 5 other people. We're going to make it to be multiplayer is 3v3. And each person controls 2 people. So you have to actually go in and swap your positions from chaser. Everyone has access to a chaser and one of the other three positions, whether it's beater, keeper, or seeker. I don't want to be though. I was like in the beta, I was exclusively a chaser. So I was passing the quaffle around, doing crazy tricks, doing shovel passes behind my back because I was really used to it. And now you're telling me I have to be a keeper too? I have to be a beater. I have to be a C. I don't want to do any of that shit. I want to score goals as a chaser, man. And I couldn't even do that because it was forcing me to do this. So like I don't know why you would go from something in a playtest that was really so well received to saying, no, let's go ahead and change it right before release. So I made the mistake of not knowing that they made that change. I pre-ordered the game, I installed it, I played it day one. I already put in a refund request. I can't do it. It's asinine to me that they would just do this to for what purpose? Like there's no fucking purpose to it. Like if somebody wanted a 3-on-3 mode, make it like an optional 3-on-3 mode. Like
Yeah.
don't change what you were doing in like 4 play tests. It's asinine. But if you like Quidditch, it's not too expensive. It's like a $25 game. There's a single player mode. It's still a lot of fun. I just hate that they want you to play more than one position.
Well, that again, going back to the theme of this episode, I guess, is just developer mistakes. I don't understand why they can't just learn from what people enjoy and listen to. I mean, granted, like you said, you can't always listen to the fan base, but listen to what people are saying about stuff where, you know, it's gonna work if you do what people want you to do. And really quickly, let's transition that little segue there into a movie. Actually, I want to talk about some movies where the fans said their piece and the director listened when it came to that first Sonic the Hedgehog movie. And everybody remembers Ugly Sonic when they first dropped the trailer, and it was just like, what the actual fuck is this abomination on the screen right now? They made him look like the video game character, and it's just so much better now. They recently dropped the trailer for Sonic the Hedgehog 3, where Shadow had his big unveiling with Keanu Reeves doing the voice of Shadow. I am so hyped for this movie. I cannot wait to go see it. I don't care if I'm going to be smacking around 5-year-olds trying to battle them to get into the theater. I cannot wait to go watch this movie. And the fact that they got Jim Carrey back after he said he was possibly retiring after the second Sonic movie came out, chef's kiss. I cannot wait to see this movie. So Sonic 3 looks amazing. And I know there's a lot of people out there that maybe aren't the biggest fan of the Sonic movies. I don't care. I can't wait to go see it. So I'm going to go see it, and it's going to be amazing. But let's talk about some movies. Well, really quickly, I just want to touch on, did you see the whole thing? Borderlands. Did you see that movie, Ace, that it came out? And I think it kind of going back to what you were saying about like the epic flops and all that stuff. I think it was released in theaters, and then like a week after it came out in theaters, they were like, okay, it's coming to home video in like a month. Like you can like purchase it on demand or something like that. Like that's how bad the Borderlands video game movie was. Well, I
Yeah,
mean,
I haven't gone to see it, and I heard awful things, to be honest.
well, I
So
mean, right off the bat, they cast Kevin Hart as Roland. Like, what the fuck was that? Like that he's like a funny little short comedian. Like, and when you think of Roland, I don't know if you played the Borderland games. I played through them. They're amazing games. Roland's just a badass. Like he's a military dude. He's a badass. He's ready. I mean, the fact that they cast Kevin Hart as him, I was just like, what the shit? And then, I mean, I don't know. I knew it was probably not going to be good
oh, and
from the
Jack
get go,
Black
but
is Claptrap.
yeah, yeah. So believe it or not, if you make a video game movie, apparently you have to put Jack Black in it.
He's
Apparently,
gotta be in it, apparently.
thank God the Sonic movies haven't got that, memo yet. So, but yeah, no, if there's a video game movie, Jack Black has to be in it.
For the
And
record, I love Jack Black. I think he's
oh no,
fucking great, but oh my god, stop. Like, he doesn't need to be in every fucking video game movie.
he just loves video games, man. It's like
I
that
do
song
too. I'm not in every video game movie.
well, maybe you need to start being in video game movies.
Maybe.
That's why they're so bad right now. They need some Ace loving in there, okay?
Mm.
Well, actually, if you want, there's a movie that's coming out that has Jack Black in it already that if you want to jump in on it, because it looks so terrible. We're talking about the Minecraft movie. I see you shaking your head. I think you want to go see that really badly because it just so ladies and gentlemen, for you out there unaware, before we started recording this episode, I had my lovely co-host go and watch the teaser trailer to the Minecraft movie coming out. And you know what I want to do right now? I want Ace to give us his full thoughts and breakdowns on that trailer. Ace, how did you feel watching the Minecraft movie trailer?
I feel like the Minecraft movie trailer is probably something that the American government put together in order to um, put on TVs in Guantanamo Bay to facilitate confessions out of terrorists, because that was some of the worst shit I have ever seen in my life. Like,
Oh,
Jack
come on.
Black is Minecraft Steve. Like, come
You don't
on.
love Jason Momoa in a
Yeah,
full-blown wig? What you do that in a pink, what is it, blazer, whatever the hell he was wearing in
it's
that trailer?
awful, dude. What are you doing?
That
Like,
didn't do it for you? Oh, come on. I thought you had better taste than that.
unbelievable. I can't. I can't. No. It was
Well,
so bad. I'm like, why on earth is this a thing? Jordy, I am recording a podcast, sir.
he doesn't care. He's upset that you don't like the Minecraft movie. He's obviously mad about that. So, see? He's telling you right now it is what it is. So, yeah, guys, if you haven't seen the teaser trailer, whatever the hell you want to call it for the Minecraft movie, it looks like I try my best to play devil's advocate when it comes to being shown things and trying to be like, okay, I can try and spin a positive or a negative out of this. Like just like I said,
Yeah.
and watching that trailer, I have never played Minecraft. I know what it is. I've seen it 1,000 times. I'm not like I understand the concept of the game. I know what it is. I have less than like 0% interest in going to see that movie. Like it could be you could hand that movie to me for free and be like, "Here's a free movie that you can have and watch." And I will be like, "No, thank you. Get this out of my face. I don't want any
Yeah.
part of that." It just
Yeah.
looks so dumb.
Well,
So
even like
dumb.
you know how like in trailers they try to include a moment of like levity to try to be like, oh, well, at least if I go see this movie, I might get a few laughs out of it. Even that was just awful. Like it had like a bunch of weird looking pig creatures sprinting by a sheep, like a
Yep.
really dumb looking sheep. Like it tried to make it look like it was like all, Minecrafty, and it just looks in the camera for like 5 seconds and does a stupid chewing thing. And I'm like, that's not even funny. Like maybe if I put like a 4-year-old in front of the screen, the 4-year-old would find it humorous. Maybe we're just not the ideal target audience with this movie, but awful, terrible. Ugh.
I'm okay with that because if you can find me a plethora of 4-year-olds that can pay for their own way to go see a movie, then by all means, movie executives, you hit the nail on the head. So have at you. I don't know. I just think it's ridiculous. Like I said, and then on to I just feel like you know what we gotta up the ante after this next segment here, Ace, because I feel like this is just the negative Nancy podcast today. I got to talk about the Joker sequel. I don't think it's actually come out yet, but the reviews are already starting to come out for the Joker.
Talking
Do
about the
suffer.
musical,
Yeah, the Todd Phillips one with Joaquin Phoenix or whatever he goes by
Joaquin
now, and
Phoenix, and then Lady
Lady
Gaga.
Gaga. It's IGN gave it a 5 out of a 10.
Ooh,
And they said that it had like a lot of promise and that it rehashed too much of the shit from the first movie and that it got bogged down by a big courtroom scene that dominated like a ton of time. And I guess the big thing was like Lady Gaga didn't really have a chance to really like show off her chops as Harley Quinn or whatever it is. And so it's kind of unfortunate because the first Joker movie I enjoyed. I was kind of conflicted on it because it
hmm.
just felt so different from what I was expecting the Joker movie to be. I still enjoyed it. I thought it was like a really good movie overall. I think I would have enjoyed it more if it wasn't the Joker, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? Like if it was a different character or just like a completely different story. But like that's obviously what got the pull was being in the Gotham universe and Bruce Wayne and all that stuff. But there was a lot of hype going into this next Joker movie, and the fact that it's being received poorly is not great. So I don't know. Did you have any thoughts on the Joker movie? Have you seen the first one? I'm assuming you
I
probably have,
did. I
right?
did see the first one, and I actually thought it was pretty compelling. It was a different take on the
Yeah.
Joker, which I really kind of enjoyed. It felt like it was more of like a modern take on what a Joker could be in the world of like, mental health, and there's no real support structure for the people that really need it most in the world that we're in today.
Yeah.
And the lack of support system could really devolve into somebody going into madness and doing that kind of shit. So I thought it was a really compelling story. I don't know how I feel about the initial reports of this film being a musical. Like
Yeah.
I'll be the first to say I'm a sucker. I'll sit down and watch a musical. I loved Hamilton and everything like that. But I don't know. Color me intrigued, but slightly concerned with the initial reviews.
I think my biggest thing was like when they announced that Lady Gaga was going to be Harley Quinn, I took a step back because I was like, well, she's not really a bad actress at all. Like I enjoyed that movie that she was in with Bradley Cooper. Uh, I don't know if you call it it wasn't a musical. It was they were singers in the movie, and it was a heartbreaking movie the way the movie ended. Spoiler alert for anybody out there. And I'm trying to remember. It was like a remake, but either way, like Lady Gaga is a very talented singer and actress, and I think she's been in the American Horror Story movie or shows, and I know a lot of people very much enjoy her in those shows. But yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see if more reviews come out and what other people like. I'm one of those people that I like to see what they say for reviews from like your websites and all that stuff. But I also like talking to people that have gone to see it and get their actual like input to see, okay, like maybe put like an actual person's like perspective on this as opposed to
Yeah,
being like, oh, I'm paid to give you my opinion. This is why this is a 10 out of a 10. And then it's like you go and see it and you're like, what the shit is this? This is the worst thing I've ever seen. Oh, that's right.
yeah.
They get paid to go see it. So
Well, it's the thing is like a lot of people are like analyzing things for like a film's like technical, like how it performs technically, and I don't really give a shit about its technical consideration. I just want to know if it's a good story, if it's a compelling film that's really going to capture my attention. And I will say that the first one did that, but it looks like this review from the BBC. It's a fascinating decision in which bravery subverts audience. Oh no, it's a fascinating decision which bravely subverts audience expectations, but it does result in a film that is a dreary, underwhelming, unnecessary slog.
ooh, that's not very. I guess for me, I kind of should have seen the writing on the wall because while Todd Phillips is like a really good director, he's also not the best when it comes to like sequels of movies because he's the one that's behind the Hangover franchise. He did was it Old School? He did The Hangover. Um, I want to say there was another one he did too. I can't recall off the top of my head, but yeah, The Hangover is like that should tell you all you need to know is the first one was so good, and then the second one was essentially the same movie over again, and everybody was just like, "Eh, I mean, not bad, but was it necessary? Not really." So,
Yeah, he
some
did.
people
He
just
did Due Date.
due date that yeah, that one was actually really I don't think it got like a bunch of acclaim or anything, but like it was actually really funny.
Yeah, he was a producer on Project X.
Okay, that was the party one with the high schoolers. Yep.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
He likes those party movies.
yeah, he's an interesting guy, and he likes to put himself in a lot of his movies too, which is interesting to say the least. But
Yeah, as of right now, IMDb has given Joker Folie à Deux 6.1 stars, which is a big drop from the 8.4 the original got.
yeah, yeah, that sounds about right. Well, I like I said, I wanna move on from the negativity and the bad apples that we've discussed so far in this
I'm not done.
podcast.
I'm gonna yell about. No, I'm just kidding. We can move on.
Just say if you got something, we can absolutely yell about it. That's fine. But I want to talk about the positivity. I want to see things that are coming up that you and I are going to get excited about, buddy. And first and foremost, for me personally, Sonic X Shadow Generations is coming out next month. I can't wait. I
Oh my god,
actually
more Sonic, Jesus.
more Sonic. Yeah, I'm not gonna stop. I'm not gonna stop. I actually grabbed Sonic Generations before they delisted it on Steam the other day, just because I was like, you know what? It's only a couple bucks. I was like, I'll throw it on there just so I can give it a playthrough and see how it compares to the Generations when it comes out, the remaster. But some other ones that you and I would be definitely interested in is Dragon Age Veilguard, however you want to call it. That's coming out soon. Um,
Yeah.
that one, I mean, I played Inquisition and I thought Inquisition was pretty good. I heard, and I have to sit down and actually watch a full video of it, but I heard that they revamped the combat system in this new one. And
I heard that too.
I don't know how I feel about that because I don't think that the combat system was really bad
It was just
in
a classic
Inquisition.
turn-based
Well,
combat
it could
system.
you could make it turn-based if you wanted it to be,
Hmm.
but I like the idea that it was real time, well, not real time, it was, action based, but you could make it turn based and then control the party
Hmm.
the way and have them set up you could put a guy on a hill to snipe somebody. You could have a magic caster do something to protect your tank. Like there was different options for it. So I'm curious to see how they're gonna attack this new game with that. And then the big game that is actually going on a beta right now as we're recording this is Black Ops 6, which Ace, I got to be honest with you, I got to say I'm kind of excited for this Call of Duty for the first time and I don't know how long because they're going back to the roots of what made the original Black Ops games like fun. Like I want to see them continue down this path where they don't need to always do bigger, better, newer crap that people don't want or need or whatever. And go back to what made you money and got you fans in the first place. And this was Black Ops 6 looks like it's going to be that.
Yeah, and then they also have the fact that they're gonna get a giant boost in the player count because they're opening up the game day one to Game Pass. So people aren't gonna have to pay that $70 upfront cost to just jump right into the multiplayer lobbies. So you're gonna get games quick, you're gonna get games fast. They're going back to their roots of what worked. So I'm really excited for what this looks like too. And they revamped zombies, so zombies is back as well for Call of Duty, which is really exciting. And I don't want to be the guy that hypes up Call of Duty because I want to make sure that Call of Duty gets hyped up enough as it is, right? So I'd rather wait and kind of reserve some of my initial thoughts until after it comes out and people are able to digest it a little bit. I don't want to get caught up in the hype. So stay tuned for more Ace thoughts on Call of Duty once I've got my chance to jump in and play a bit.
That's right. Well, we'll both give you our thoughts because, like I said, I think where I don't know if I told you, I got Game Pass for PC for a few months there because I got some kind of special deal or whatever. So I might have to jump into that when it comes out on PC there. But really quickly
Excellent.
well, I was gonna say before we wrap this sucker up, I wanted to get your thoughts. You got a couple games on here that we wanted to talk about.
Yeah.
NHL 25. You want to give us some
Yeah.
thoughts on that?
Yeah. So I mean, I've played NHL since it was like NHL 04, 03. Like I've been that idiot that buys a copy of it every single year. Everybody knows it's listening. I'm a big hockey guy, and I love gaming. I used to play competitively in NHL back in the day, and NHL 25 actually looks really compelling. So they've got the Hughes brothers on the cover. So if you don't know, there are three brothers that all are in the National Hockey League. Um, Done a cool thing and brought all three of them together for the cover art. Some of the new stuff that the game is having is, and one of my biggest gripes about NHL is that a lot of the times it's just really like they introduce one new feature and then a roster update and they ask for $60. And like I've said for so long that they just need to make these things, a live service. You pay once and you get the new roster updates and just keep updating the game. Like it doesn't need to be an annual cost. Like it's just literally just milking people for a roster update on an annual basis. But it looks like they've actually done a little bit of an overhaul on some of the core architecture of the game, which I'm pretty excited about. So they're implementing new AI for the computers when you're just playing like Be a Pro. The computers aren't going to do the same thing every single time. They're not going to barrel towards the post or crash the net every single time. They're going to analyze where the defensive players are. They're going to put themselves in an open position to present themselves for a pass. They're going to try to, force a mistake from the defenseman, that type of stuff. So it's really exciting to see what some of the new AI is going to be doing in that game. They've added like over 200 new animations, which should make the skating look much more fluid and realistic. New goalie animations. So I'm a goalie in the game. I play a lot of net in NHL, and Some of the changes they implemented for goalies is super exciting. Hoping that I give up a lot less bullshit goals in that game. Now that I can control the goalie a little bit better. So very excited for NHL 25. That's going to be coming out in just about a month in October. So I will definitely be playing that. I'll be streaming it on my Twitch. So keep an eye out for that when the time comes.
Hell yeah. And then on top of that too, there's a game I think we're both interested in actually. It's Warhammer 40K, Space Marine 2. I'm getting a lot of hype about this game, to be honest with you. Watching the gameplay and seeing what they're putting out there for footage so far. And I don't know if the game's actually out yet or not. Don't quote me on that. But
It is.
it is out. Okay. I was gonna say it looks like what is it, Gears of War on like steroids is like
Yeah.
the vibes I'm getting from it. And that's like a really cool thing to like look into. And I know there's a huge fan base for the Warhammer games and like universe and stuff. And I know like what is it, like even Henry Cavill is like on record as like he wants to make a Warhammer like universe in cinematic like form. Like he wants to
Yeah.
drive that to like movies, TV shows, whole thing. So but yeah, I don't know much about those games, being 100% honest with you, but like the game looks awesome. Like I'd love to give it a try. And I know you're a little excited about it, right?
Yeah, dude, I watched a few streams on it, and one of the streamers that I asked, I was like, "Hey, how are you enjoying the game?" And like he was like, "This is so much fun." And it's a really interesting game because it's one of those situations where it kind of emulates real life a little bit where there's no real good or evil. Like both groups that are involved in this giant war are both kind of fucked up. And you just kind of like you acknowledge that, all right, I guess I'm just part of these bad guys and they're those bad guys and we're all just bad guys. And let's just carve it up and have some mayhem and have some enjoyment out of it. So it looked like a lot of fun. It was very visceral, very gory. Um, Something about being in a giant like mecha suit with like melee weapons, just so cool. So cool.
Hell yeah. Say less, as I like to say with that kind of stuff. Well, my buddy, my dude, I'm at the point now where I'm out of things to talk about. I don't know. Did you want to give an update on a little project you got going on, or do you want to
We'll
save
skip
that
it
for
for
next
we'll
time?
save it for next episode.
Ooh, I like it. That's your teaser right there, ladies and gents.
Yeah.
That's the tease amundo right there. So as always, you guys are the best of the best. If you've been listening this long, we love and appreciate you. Um, as we have been saying on some of our other stuff so far, we are now officially part of our new network that is Fans First Sports Network, where you can find a whole bunch of amazing podcasts and different people writing articles and whatnot on the website
Yeah.
for all sorts of things, mostly sports, but we still got our rings and things and with other leisurely activities. So as always, you can find Ace and I on the socials with Rings and Things or Rings and Things Pod or Rings and Things Podcast, or you can find each of us at Ace in 603 or myself at Twitch Prowler 71. You look us up, you know where to find us. Any questions, comments, concerns, direct them all to Ace. He is the guy to talk to. He will deal with all your gripes. He will fight
Absolutely.
all the Star Wars fans. He's ready
Yep.
to throw down.
Yep.
That's just how we roll around here. So, my dude, it's been a blast. I'll play with you some other time.
Wake me when you need me.